DDM 2024.07 sees a couple of really good enhancements to the email templates for notifications. I'm going to use the example of this change order to begin with. If I was to assign this change order to a particular user, so I'm going to assign this to Joe and just put this is my test from Joe. I'm going to go to DDM administration. Let me just refresh it so I can see the email is being sent in the queue. So while we wait for this, the enhancements that we're going to look at are the ability to include parent folder attributes in an email template and also workflow information in the email template. So just waiting for the timer to go and for this email to be delivered so we can review it. Okay, so if I now go to Outlook and I send and receive my emails, here we have an email, and the only information we're including over and above my comment is the number of the folder, the description, what type of folder and who sent it. Okay, so let me delete this sample. Going to go back to the DDM admin tool, and I'm going to look at the folder step recipient. These changes can be applied to all different email templates. This is the one we're going to choose, and I've created a folder specific. So this is only for change orders when you're changing the ownership. If I export this, I'm just going to export it to my desktop. I minimize this. What I have on my desktop now is my original file. I'm just going to do a Control-C, Control-V, so I've got a copy in case I get it wrong. And I'm going to edit this file with Notepad++, a very good text editor, which, as you can see, gives syntax highlights. If I go back to this folder, inside here, I've included a text file where I've already created the information that I now want to include. I copy this and go back to here. So this is my table. These are the table rows, and at the bottom of the table row I now want to include this additional information. So let me highlight this so we can see what we're adding. So these are the rows that I've added. TR for table row. Sorry, let me just do this. So the first row is going to give us the workflow name, and as you can see here, the syntax is DDM_workflow_workflow name, and this is the name of the workflow that you can get from the DDM administration tool. We're also including the workflow step name that we are at. And let me just tidy this. We're also including the instructions if applied at that step as well. So I'm going to save these changes. Let me close this, and if I go back to DDM administration, I can now import those changes. So that was the original file. This is the modified file. And I'm going to reopen that. So to test this, we will go back, we're going to return that folder back to group ownership, and we will reassign it to engineering Joe McBurney. This is my modified email template from Joe. Okay, we go back into admin. One of the other enhancements in this version is the ability to see the queue of emails, useful when you're testing or if something isn't working or blocked. So I can see the email is in here. So now we can see that the email has been sent. If I go back to Outlook, send and receive, we have our new email, and as we can see here, we have the workflow name, the workflow step, and the workflow instruction. So we've added 3 rows to this table in an email notification. And again, this is specific for change orders because I made it folder specific. The next enhancement is the ability to include some of the parent folder attributes. I'm going to delete this. We're finished with this, and for this example we will use an email template for tasks, folder recipient tasks. Again, I've made this folder specific. So this is the default template, and you can make them folder specific using these options here. I'm going to export this template again to the desktop. Let's minimize all of this, and I'm going to now get rid of the change order ones because they're finished, and we're going to copy and paste. So I've got a backup copy, edit. So the table here, parent folder description. So we already have an attribute in here for the parent folder description. I'm going to copy this row, copy, paste. So this is the parent, let's call it process description. Whoops. Parent folder description, and this one is the parent folder number or name. I change this to name. I'll remove that blank line. So just to recap, what we have here now in our table is we have a table row. In the first table cell data, we've got the description, and then we're picking the attribute from the database, which is the DDM parent folder description, and then the second row is for the folder name or number. So I'm going to save this. I can close this down. I'll go back to my templates and I will re-import the file, which is this one, is the modified one. Okay, so to test, we'll go to folder actions. Don't have any actions in here because I've probably assigned it to somebody else. So I'm going to choose a change order, and I'm just going to create a new task. This is my sample task. I'm going to create a task here, and I'm going to assign it to engineering. I'm going to assign it to Joe. Joe, please work on this from Joe, and it will send an email notification. Let's see whether it's in the queue. Refresh. We just wait for the email to send. So now that the email has been sent, we can go to Outlook, send and receive folders. Here is our folder, and now what we have in our notification, as we can see here, is the parent process description and the parent number. So you can include any of the parent folder attributes, and in the case of the workflow, any of the workflow information as well. So two really nice enhancements to DDM 2024.07 to include parent folder attributes or workflow attributes in email notification templates.